Hello, and welcome to Replay Value. There is a tendency to view big emotional moments through striking direction and beautiful animation. And 90% of the time, that's the right decision. You want to match important character moments with standout, memorable scenes. It just makes sense logically. What's a better way to show how much this means to a character than to paint a room rose-colored or to jump across a pond with the music swelling? But this isn't always the best way, and sometimes subtlety and restraint can make a moment stand out more than fireworks. And that's what I found when watching The World in Colors and my favorite scene of the season thus far. There's a great narrative use of visual design in this show. The first thing that will be apparent to anyone watching is how gorgeous the show looks. The rich tapestry of color, the lush landscapes, and the character designs. It's PA work, so none of this is particularly surprising. But what I particularly like about this is how it contrasts with how our main character experiences the world. Hitomi is colorblind, and not in the more common inability to distinguish between two colors like red and green, but full-on sees the world in grayscale. And that's a disconnect for the audience and our point of view character. One that encourages the audience to constantly be watching the show through two lenses, one in our own vision and one in Hitomi's vision. Anytime we see a landscape, a part of the viewer subconsciously considers that our experience differs from Hitomi's, maybe even how it would look in grayscale. And I love stuff like this, because it creates a contrast between the enveloping, beautiful world that we see on screen and Hitomi's reserved nature and general lack of wonder for the things around her. The animation and soundtrack are fantastic and really help pull the audience into the show, which is especially clear at the end of the first episode when Hitomi sees color for the first time. This scene is one of those standout memorable moments where the show goes nuts with the animation. It begins with a flash to black and white to place us in Hitomi's point of view directly, to unify the experience between viewer and character. And it makes it so that when we see the color on the tablet, it's eye-catching and brilliant. Her shock at seeing color is immediately recognized by the audience, since we've been prepped for this not only through previous flashes of gray throughout the episode, but also dialogue spoken earlier. As the fish and the color flies off the page, this beautiful piano and woodwind track comes on. The visual aesthetic of the world taking on this impressionist painting style, a contrast from the much more realistic style of the show's standard. It's beautiful and it's stunning and it feels like a dream. It's easily the most visually impactful moment in the entire episode, which makes the pullout back to grayscale reality hit really hard. It's almost a depressing way to end the episode, which continues that unification between us and Hitomi. She's just lost color again after all. But nothing about this scene shows why restraint matters. If anything, it's more proof that going all out is the best way to make a scene memorable. But the ending of episode 2 is where the importance of restraint makes itself clear, mostly because of how it contrasts so well with this scene. The build-up to episode 2's emotional moment is just a pleasure to watch. As Hitomi reaches the roof, again we flash into black and white, but this time, it's only for a moment. For this scene, PA Works doesn't want us to be in Hitomi's point of view, and so the rest of this scene is going to play out in color. So when Hitomi looks at the tablet, we're removed from her. This directorial decision shows us the world from the other character's perspective as well as our own. This world is beautiful. The setting is gorgeous, with the deep blue sky and the sun providing golden hour lighting. As we cut to the view from the rooftop, the meaning is clear. What we and the characters of this world take for granted, the color of the world and the beauty around us, is not something Hitomi has. Her experience with color is limited to the past and to these drawings. The world of colors that has embraced us has denied Hitomi up to this point. It's that contrast that episode 2 is trying to get across in its narrative, which can only be achieved by utilizing restraint. This isn't some standout visual animation, but it is standout direction. And the way the colors dance in Hitomi's eyes tell us that for her, color is magic. It's something special that's rare, and the drawing that Yuito has made has given that to her. And Yuito appreciates the magic that Hitomi is able to create. They're able to provide each other with this same emotional reaction in different ways. If the fish had taken off to the sky again, this revelation wouldn't exist for the audience, and the standout moment from the first episode would be weaker in comparison. But because we know what Hitomi is experiencing from already having been in that point of view, this step back becomes all the more powerful, and the additional meaning we acquire makes this scene outstanding. It's not that this isn't a standout moment. The way the wind blows and the music that begins to play, much more layered with a marimba taking the lead, keys the viewer in to pay extra attention. But while the previous episode's final scene prepped us to expect the world to explode in fireworks, this scene chooses to subvert that, to build additional meaning about the magic of color for a colorblind girl through restraint. At the present, this show has engaged me because of its visual and auditory strengths as opposed to its story and characters. I don't think I can overstate how beautiful a show this is, and with some really strong storyboarding, it's definitely one that I'll be following closely this season. I'll be a bit disappointed if this show never uses Hitomi's colorblindness to create more narrative moments, like her misinterpreting something without it being explicitly told to us, and leaving the less discerning audience unsure about the cause. But for now, I'm just happy to watch a show that has a director who knows when and where to match the emotional moment with stunning animation, and when to let the intricacies of the scene do all of the talking. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and comment with your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and follow me on Twitter for my live analyses and future projects. Link in the description. We'll be back real soon with another video, but until then, thanks for watching.